Welcome back to Cindy's Library. I am Cindy, and today I want to do my first Jane Austen blog, and that is on Northanger Abbey. So excited. So there will be spoilers if you have not read it, so fair warning. I'll try to keep them to a minimum though. Oh, where to begin? This is probably the third time I've read Northanger Abbey. Quite amusing. And it would probably be even more amusing if I was more familiar with the Gothic literature of the time that Jane Austen was parroting. So, what is Northanger Abbey about? Well, it is about a young lady named Catherine who is perfectly ordinary and has a perfectly ordinary trip to Bath and a nearly perfectly ordinary stay at Northanger Abbey, and then perfectly ordinary lives happily ever after, basically. That is what makes this book so amusing. It is because there is truly nothing outstanding about Catherine or anything that happens to her. The only thing at all extraordinary is her imagination, which is wonderful. Let's see, a good example. Let's see. This starts with no one who had ever seen Catherine Morland in her infancy would have supposed her born to be a heroine. Her situation in life, the character of her father and mother, her own person and disposition were all equally against her. And further on in the same chapter, but when a young lady is to be a heroine, the perverseness of 40 surrounding families cannot prevent her. Something must and will happen to throw a hero in her way. And true enough. After all, the Allens do invite her to go with them to Bath, and there she meets a lot of people. She meets Isabel Thorpe and her brother John Thorpe. She meets Eleanor and Henry and General and even Colonel Tilney. Lots of adventures, lots of people. I personally would go more to Mr. Allen for counsel than Mrs. Allen. I don't think she thinks things through quite so much, shall we say. And as for the Thorpes, every time John Thorpe shows up and opens his mouth, I'm like, you're just going to ruin everything again, aren't you? And he does. It's most distressing. Oh, and Isabel. Talk about someone who says one thing and probably means another. As for General Tilney, his actions truly are inexcusable in the end. At least he finally allows his son Henry to marry Catherine by the end, but Henry is also a great character. Let's just say he loves to tease Catherine, and it is great. And his relationship with his sister Eleanor is also wonderful. And Catherine, she is a great heroine with so many foibles. That's the word I'm looking for. And she's very, very naive, not surprising. She's never done a serious trip like this in her life before. Never really been outside of her neighborhood. These are people she is meeting that she has never met their type of before. However, she does have a kernel of wisdom. She does go along with John Thorpe, for example, at the beginning, but she gets to the point where she sees through him and stands up to him. She also sees through General Tilney. There really is, I'm not saying it's the only part of his core, but there is an unpleasant part of his core, and she does clearly see that. So ironically, for all the trouble her imagination gets her into, on one level she sees more clearly than anyone else. So, very interesting book. I'm going to wait till I have reread all of Austen's novels to rank them. But right now I can say I'm not sure there's over much depth to Northanger Abbey. But that's okay. It doesn't need it. That's not its purpose. It's just a fun outing. And any Austen fan should give it a try. I will admit, the first time I read it, I was not a fan. In fact, it was probably my least favorite Austen. Then this came out on Masterpiece one year in the US. And whatever you may think of this version, this miniseries version, it allowed me to see what Northanger Abbey was all about. And it's just hilarious. Isabel's inconsistencies, Catherine's imaginations, Henry Tilney's teasing. Just watch out for John Thorpe and General Tilney. Yep, that would be my advice for this book. So, that is what I have to say about Northanger Abbey. Yeah, can't think of anything else to add at this time. I will be doing an Austen video at the end of my reread, and we will see where I think all of them fall into line this time, and I will include anything that I forgot to say now. So thank you for coming to Cindy's Library and listening and watching today. If you have any comments, suggestions, please put them below. I'd love to hear what you think about Northanger Abbey. Love it, hate it. What did you think of the Masterpiece movie that they had of Northanger Abbey? I actually found it quite hilarious myself. So thank you for coming. Till next time, hope you stay healthy and safe, and as always, happy reading.